Okay, so, funny story. I've got a pork butt in the oven, and I've got 45 minutes before the timer goes off. So we're gonna play the Can I record this episode in 45 minutes or less? Survey says no. Okay, but come with me on this journey. So this will surprise nobody, but I really like finding historical markers. They're like Pokemon. I've got to catch them all. So my family and I took a vacation up to High Falls, New York, and it's a really lovely spot. It's very close to some of my favorite spots like New Paltz and where my friends live and where my favorite seed retailer is. I pretty much order all my seeds from them. They also do these really cute art packs for their seeds, like adorable. Ooh, hang on, let me get this. Okay, so I caved and I bought the art print of their goth garden. So now I have this. This is why you don't go to the retail location of your favorite seed places, kids, because then you end up blowing money on something like this. And by blowing money, I mean making an excellent life purchase. I love it because it's like such a memento mori. Like, I might actually have to spend money to get this properly framed at Michael's. I mean, I'm definitely going to wait for, the Michael's framing department coupon to show up, but, it's a choice. Anyway, every time I'm up there, I keep running into the same historical markers that just beg questions. Ooh, no, not that one. Although I will put money on that this man enslaved people, and yet cockfights in his kitchen are what end up on the historical marker. That marker. That marker there. Discovery of cement. At Bruceville, Nathaniel Bruce burned in a blacksmith's forge some native rock and discovered cement in 1818. There's a lot to unpack there. I might have to make a whole nother video. But that sign. The questions. Okay, like, I know cement as we know it was developed in the 19th century, but, sir, do you understand that we've had cement since at least the... Shoot, how long have we had cement? Googling. Since at least the Minoans. Look, I understand it's a small sign and you have to fit a lot into it, but claiming the discovery of cement is a big claim. Huge claim. Even just the phrasing on the sign, it's like, he tossed some rocks into a furnace and gadzooks! Cement! Okay, but in real talk, we actually found a lot of limestone mines while we were hiking because Rosendale, which is right next door to High Falls, was one of the major producers of cement in the 19th century. Supposedly their cement was used in like the Brooklyn Bridge and the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. And so good job, Rosendale. I might actually have to do a video about Rosendale and their cement industry. Yikes. Okay, but I'm not here to talk about cement. I brought up this vacation because I went with my parents, and the map I'm about to discuss, they play a major part in this next story. This pretty much has to do with crafts. Background. So my mom is super good at crafts. I mean, she could probably have her own Etsy store or YouTube channel, but she doesn't want to have one, so... Which is great, because whenever I have a half-baked idea for a craft, she has the time to make sure I don't make a rookie mistake. My mom's the kind of mom that can't just stand back and watch you make a stupid mistake. She will have to show you how it's done. If you're doing something wrong, she will step in. The times she has pulled a paintbrush or a spray can out of my hands, too many to count. She also has like all the right crafting materials, so I then get to use those. Thanks, Mom. But anyway, recently I was like, you know what we need? A new nightstand for the spare bedroom upstairs. Where are we going to get one of those? And my mother was like, oh, I might have a piece of furniture you could use. So I went to my parents' house, thinking I'd take this bench off their hands, do a little bit of work, nothing too fancy to sort of make it nicer looking, and then that would be it. So then I get there and I'm like, thanks, Mom, this is exactly what I need. And then she's like, well, you're gonna have to paint it. It needs a new top. Daddy will fit something in, but why don't you decoupage it and you could just cover it? Do you have wallpaper samples? Let me go get my wallpaper samples. Ooh, or with napkins. Let me see what napkins I have. Do you know what color you're gonna paint it? Ooh, you could distress it. No, don't distress it. What color were you gonna paint it again? Are you sure? Because I have We could look at my paints. Okay, no, that's fine. That's right. It's matching. Never mind. You do have sandpaper at home, right? Wait, I have more wallpaper samples. Hang on. Are you sure you don't want me to take out the napkins? Because all you do, you could decoupage the napkins. Are you at a Mod Podge? You don't have to go to Michael's. You could just go to the dollar store. They have Mod Podge there. No, it's okay. Just take my Mod Podge. I can get more at Dollar Tree. So, Dad fits it with a new top, and Mom breaks out all her wallpaper samples. Oh, pro tip from my mom. If you go to recycling centers or other places like that, you can usually find a lot of like wallpaper sample books or cutouts, and you can use those in your crafts. And you can usually get them for like dirt cheap. Just a little FYI for your DIY. What? I'm an elder millennial that was raised on HGTV. Anyway, one of the wallpaper samples is a map. And you know how I feel about maps. So we decide to decoupage the map on the furniture. Oh, for those of you playing the home game, decoupage is the art of decorating items or things with paper cutouts. I mean, you could do this on furniture, on other pieces of paper, really anything you can slap glue onto. Anyway, here's the problem. Now, the whole wallpaper sample was not the right size for the piece of wood that was on the top of the furniture. So I would have to position it to the part I liked the best visually and then trim the edges. So here I have this wallpaper sample of a map of London from 1823, and I have to figure out what the coolest bits are that I want to look at for the rest of the time I have this furniture in my possession. Now here's the thing. I don't really know London. I mean, I know like the curve of the Thames, and I know that like the city of London still pays like weird rent to the Queen or something. I can recognize the Isle of Dogs. I know where the Tower of London is. I've got a book about mudlarking on my to-read list. But there's just a lot about London I don't know because I haven't done that deep dive. And I've, never visited. Sorry. So now I gotta figure, okay, what's good 1823 London? What do I want on the top of my guest room bedside table would inspire people to spark up conversation at a party? Okay, I know that's a little weird to be like, bedside tables and parties. But I have a lot of introverted friends, and I just know when I can finally have parties again, the attic space is going to be like the introvert sanctuary. I even put a sign on the door. All right, in retrospect, actually naming it this might make having conversations up here thematically inappropriate. Oh, it's a cat. Oh, it's a sunspot. Anyway, so I'm looking at this map of 1823 London. Meanwhile, my mother's like, so are we trimming the wallpaper or what? And I'm like, give me a second, Mom. I'm trying to figure out what's historically cool on this map. I mean, Tower of London, that's pretty standard. We'll try to make sure that stays on the board. And, well, we definitely want to keep as much of the Thames as we can because that's cool. So, try to position that correctly. And then in the corner, there are these really obviously man-made waterways. And it reads Osier beds. Osier? Fine, we're going to watch a pronunciation video about it.
As a teenager, I carried a camera.
Give me a second.
Osier.
Osier. So it's Osier. Well, thank you, pronunciation guide. I appreciate your help in this matter. Osier. 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 Well, so glad we checked. Osier. Well, anyway, there are these osier beds on the map, and they're obviously man-made, which instantly makes me go, okay, what are those? What the hell's an osier bed? Is that like a weird misspelling of oyster? But no, there wasn't oyster cultivation on the Thames. Was there? And of course now my mom's like, what's taking so long? It's just decoupage. And I'm like, Mom, I gotta Google this. And I'm like, okay, let's try to find a high-res version of the original map. Because maybe there's more info that I'm missing because, this area of this wallpaper sample, it's like kind of faded and like there seems to be a lot like that's missing or just badly Xeroxed, and it maybe there's more to it around the surroundings that will illuminate what I'm looking at here. So now I'm looking at this full version of the new map of London, Westminster, and Southwark, made by Sholto and Reuben Percy in 1823. And those osier beds weren't east of the Tower of London. They were cut and pasted into a different location on the wallpaper. And then they scrubbed around the edges so you couldn't tell they didn't match up. And those beds are actually in Pimlico. Pimlico? Pimlico. No, whatever. They're somewhere between Westminster and Chelsea. And then there's this 1830 map by John Greenwood, and the osier beds are gone, which suggests that they were all landfilled at some point between 1823 and 1830, and they put a canal and a waterworks in their place. And then I got distracted by this penitentiary. So there's a penitentiary there in 1823, which made me go, wait, I thought Eastern State Penitentiary was the first penitentiary in the world, but that wasn't completed until 1829. And then I look it up, and Millbank Penitentiary, which that's what it is, was opened in 1816? So where's the truth? But I'm not trying to get to the bottom of penitentiaries. I'm trying to get to the bottom of what an osier is, which I still don't know what that is. So I finally stepped away from Googling about penitentiaries and the Penitentiary Act of 1779 and the convict convoys to Australia and Quakers and the New York penal system versus the Pennsylvania penal system, and just searched for osier. And surprise, it's not a weird misspelling of oysters. Oh, and there it is. I have to go check the pork butt. It took me longer than 45 minutes to get up to this point. I will be right back. Good news, everyone. The pork butt is done, and it looks great. And now my whole kitchen smells like paprika and brown sugar. So I'm living my best life right now. Gosh, where were we? Okay. So, yes! Not a weird misspelling of oyster. It's, in fact, a type of willow. In retrospect, the road labeled Willow's Walk, right alongside of it, should have been my first clue. So looking at old maps of London and then reading about descriptions of what the land was like in the oldie days, this part of London was very marshy, which is like primo real estate for willows. So that stretch of the Thames was cultivated for the harvesting of willows. Now the willows would be cut back in March to encourage the growth of multiple young trunks, a technique called coppice. They would then be harvested, they'd be stripped of their bark, and they would be sold for various purposes, one being basket weaving. I mean, baskets, they're kind of a big deal historically, right? If you're anything like me, I can highly recommend reading The Cultivation of the Willow or Osier in a series of papers by William Scaling, 10 Years Basket Maker to Her Majesty and the Royal Family from 1868. It's great. It's so good. Just the opening lines. Love it. Great stuff. Definitely recommend reading it. And I never would have thought to look this stuff up if I hadn't needed a nightstand for my guest bed. The very act of crafting led me to learn more about the history of another craft. Craftception. I can't even say that with a straight face. But more so, this little corner of a badly reproduced wallpaper sample of a historic map of London actually led me to a pretty good example of the drastic changes that happened to London at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. By 1830, the osier beds in this spot were gone, replaced by a canal and a waterworks. Wharves, warehouses, and other industrial buildings would follow as villages became suburbs, suburbs became part of the city limits, etc., etc., etc. I don't know. I just think that's neat. I mean, I did eventually finish the table. It just took me a couple hours because I kept getting distracted by Google. So I guess the moral of the story is, take your time and really look at things because you'll never know what you might learn. Oh, and a pro tip from my mom. If you're running low on Mod Podge, just add a little bit of water to make it stretch. It'll be fine. On that note, back to work. Let's see. Wait. Domestic basket weaving was banned in World War II? Why would they ban that? Did they need the willows for war things? Hey, if you know why domestic basket weaving was banned during World War II, leave a comment. I'm going to need a citation on this. As ever, a thank you to my ear lenders, Chandra, Johan Gustafsson, Spectral Ghost, Xanthan Pink, William Christopher, Sarah Hammer, Jason Lucas, Avi Finkel, Catherine Escobar, Steve Harper, John Smith, and Allison J. Okay, so postcards. Yeah. First one is this really interesting, like, ice cream child that's, like, melting. It's a little freaky, but I really like it. It appears to be from the Capital District. Hi, Nella. Have always enjoyed your work. Thanks for years of entertainment. Hope you take care of that ghost knocker situation. Creepy! I've heard nothing while I've been recording this, so I can't wait to find out if I hear something when I, check the footage. Not looking forward to that, actually. That was such a weird knocking noise in the last video. I wish I could. Anyway, cheers, Artie. Thank you. Thank you for sending me a postcard. Now I'm nervous about editing this footage. Next, this looks like a really good old-fashioned postcard. This is of Lily Pond and surroundings, St. Philip's School, Rudolph, Wisconsin. It looks very pretty. Dear Nella, a pen pal sent me this lovely vintage postcard, and I can't think of anyone who would appreciate it more than you. Hope your summer is enjoyable and looking forward to your next explainer. Meredith. I love vintage postcards, and this is a beautiful version. It's got this really lovely texture to the front of it, so thank you so much for sharing this with me. Next. Oh, a picture of Dublin. Behold. On a beautiful sunny day. Water is lovely and clear. Funny enough, it comes from Portland, Oregon. Greetings from Washington. This is one of a set of postcards I purchased on my first trip to Dublin in 2015. I can't wait to be able to travel again. My husband and I love your videos, but we wish there were more maps. Wishing you much health, wealth, and joy. Best wishes, Angela and Brandon. Thank you so much, and again, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I think I gave you some maps on this one. And the last postcard is of the Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C. This is the first outside of my house fun thing I've done in over a year. Growing up here, I got spoiled because the zoo and most museums are completely free. Not even a suggested donation trying to pass itself off as an admission price. I could see exotic animals or priceless art when I'm just bored and just had to pay a metro fare. You don't know what you have till it's gone. I hope you too are able to enjoy your city again. I know I can't wait to visit NYC again. I don't think I've still seen all of the Met. Cheers, Susan. I love the Smithsonian museums. I think my favorite one is the Museum of the American Indian. I haven't been to the Postal Museum, and that breaks my heart, because I'm like, but it's like built for me. I really need to go to the Postal Museum. Here, I can super recommend going to the Museum of the City of New York. Anyway, that's one of my favorite hometown museums, that and the Queen's Museum, because the Queen's Museum has the panorama that Robert Moses made of the 5 boroughs, and it's just massive, and it's really well curated, and I really love going to check that one out. So, if you're back in New York, like, the Met's awesome. It's got one of my favorite paintings in it, The Woman of the White Rose. I love the look on her face. I remember the first time I saw this painting in the Met, and the description was like this sultry, flirtatious look to the painter. And meanwhile, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is a look of a woman who's done. She is done. She is done with this painter. She is done with everything. And that's why I love her. And I think now in the Met they have her side by side with Madame X. And I'm just like, I hope they have like the best time together when like the museum's closed and everyone comes alive. Anyway, but last but not least, this was actually, I already took it out of its package, but Sam Arno actually sent me a copy of his book. And this is very exciting. It's called An Armada of Cats Travels in Israel. I'm really excited to read this now. And that's it. That's my postcards. If you want to send me a postcard, details in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell button. I don't know. Comment for the algorithms because I'm bad at this. And I'll see you next time. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm going to show you where these postcards go when I'm done with them. You know what? We'll see if this works. Come on, come with me. Okay, I'm going to take you around my house kindly. Forgive the look of it. So the lights are on. Actually, let's turn this light on. Yeah, so this is where I've set up the postcards. It's right here in the hallway next to the bathroom. And it's just a nice spot every time I look at them. I think about where they've been and the people who sent them, and it just really warms the cockles of my heart. So thank you again, everyone who sends me a postcard. They are not thrown out, they are not forgotten. They are in a place of honor on the wall, and so I hope you will consider sending more at some future date.